Hi everybody, my name is Brady and I'm a 19th century American historian, and we are back with another React video, and today we're going to be doing more of Mr. Beat's American Presidential Election Series with the election of 1836. First of all, I'm dolling myself up for the holidays. We're about to go into December, which is very exciting for me. If you have any holiday themed history videos you want me to check out, I already have 2 ERB videos, some extra history stuff I'm very excited about, but if you have any others that you think would be interesting, send them my way. I'm very excited to do some themed content for the holiday. But without further ado, let's talk a little bit about the election of 1836. We have Andrew Jackson, who is stepping away, so we have Martin Van Buren, who's going to take his place here. And we have the Whig Party, which is finally taking a real form at this point. A disorganized form, but a form. And they, while they will be short-lived, they are incredibly significant and a huge part of my area of study. And once you get the Republican Party, once it starts to transition into that, that's where I stop paying as much attention. Like, my period, while I say it's 19th century, it's a lot of the earlier stuff. Like, that first half is essential for me. That's the stuff that I just like the most. So, I'm excited for this. Let's talk about Martin Van Buren a little bit. Let's let Mr. Beat do his thing, and we're going to pause frequently, so bear with me, and I'm sure there's going to be a cool amount. Let's just start it. Before I start losing my words.
Mr. Beat presents.
Let me turn this up.
Presidential
Elections of American history. Mr. B is my boy.
The 13th
Beat.
presidential election in American history took place from Thursday, November 3rd to Wednesday, December 7th, 1836. Andrew Jackson? Oh, he gone. He decided to follow in the footsteps of Washington, Jefferson, Madison, and Monroe and retire after 2 terms. Besides, he was confident his vice president of the past 4 years, Martin Van Buren, would do just fine in his place.
Theoretically, Martin Van Buren should be just fine. He should be equally successful compared to Jackson. He has so much going for him as an administrator. He really is politically so much more savvy than Andrew Jackson. While Jackson actually has more political savvy than he's given credit for, Van Buren theoretically should have been great. So why is he not nearly as successful as Jackson? Why is he a one-term president? Well, that's a huge question of, I guess, I don't know if it's because he couldn't relate to the people in the same way. It's kind of like the son trying to take over the family business. Sometimes there's just something that is just lacking there that's just really hard to put your finger on. And with Van Buren, I found it kind of difficult because he really is so much in line with Andrew Jackson's vision. It makes me think, if Andrew Jackson had a 3rd term, the country might have actually turned on him finally, because they are not as huge fans of Van Buren the longer things go on. Plus, I guess the political climate with the Whig Party kind of taking form, they are fully going to, they're going to find a much stronger form by the next election. So that's probably a huge part of it.
Especially since Van Buren shared many of the same views as Jackson. With Jackson's backing and the fact that Van Buren helped start the Democratic Party, it was no surprise the Democratic Party nominated him. They also nominated Richard Mentor Johnson, congressman from Kentucky, as his running mate. Johnson wasn't too popular with Southerners, however, because he had an affair with an African-American woman and fathered 2 daughters with her.
I could say something bad here, like, well, that should have endeared him to them even more. But that would be in bad taste. But I guess I said it already. This isn't even that uncommon, especially with, like, plantation owners. I don't know that much about this guy specifically, if he was a plantation owner. I assume in this case it was a slave or something like that. But yeah, I know this is one of those VP types that just, I guess, I never really bothered to learn about. He wasn't that essential. Or maybe he's more important than I give him credit for. I don't know.
Or because he had an affair with an African-American woman and fathered 2 daughters with her. 5 years prior, a bunch of people who were disturbed by how much Andrew Jackson had expanded the power of the executive branch organized. They were led by, you guessed it, Henry Clay.
Henry Clay. He still gets that name. Perpetually almost president Henry Clay. He's really the guy who, even though he's not president, he's the guy who makes political drama fun during this time. He's the great compromiser. He's got so much going for him. And if you're going to study this period, there's maybe 5 major figures you absolutely cannot do without. Henry Clay is one of them.
A dude who constantly criticized Jackson. After they couldn't defeat Jackson in 1832, they started to gain momentum as a new political party, the Whig Party, in the years following the election.
The Whig terminology is something that goes back to the British. They had a political party that kind of inspired the American revolutionaries. They had a very similar ideology. So the American revolutionaries, that you can call them patriots, they were often referred to as Whigs. So this is kind of taking terminology that's really entwined with the founding of the country and applying it to a political party, which is actually really smart.
I have an entire video about the Whig Party. Go watch it now.
I might. Not
Are you
now,
done?
but later.
Good. In 1834, the Whigs began to find success in the midterm elections. By 1836, they were a major party and a major threat to Jacksonian dominance. They had a crazy strategy for this presidential election. Instead of running one candidate like political parties usually do, they ran 4 different candidates in different parts of the country.
He looks like that is Ben Shapiro, and you can't tell me otherwise. That is Ben Shapiro's face in the past. I don't know how that happened. Am I wrong? That there's something like really Ben Shapiro-y about that.
Hoping each would be popular enough to defeat Van Buren in each region. The 4 Whig candidates were Hugh Lawson White, senator from Tennessee, Willie Person Mangum, senator from North Carolina, Daniel Webster, senator from Massachusetts.
I haven't seen this painting of Daniel Webster, but oh my god, the resemblance is kind of remarkable. Side note here, Daniel Webster he's the one of these that I know the most about. It might have something to do with the fact that he's from Massachusetts. That's pretty close to home for me. Daniel Webster, he is known quite widely as the greatest speaker of his time. I've read some of his speeches and they're very impressive, but the way people talk about him, I wish I could have been in the room for those, because there's definitely something that's not being conveyed on paper that Daniel Webster had. I think H.W. Brands did a book, I think it's like Heirs of the Founders, and it covered Clay, Webster, and John C. Calhoun, who we've talked about in previous ones, and he's still going to be important for a while. But Webster, I think he is the least appreciated in a lot of ways. He does not seem to get the same amount of love. I think we are long overdue for a Daniel Webster biography.
And former General, Senator, Representative, and Governor William Henry Harrison.
Henry Harrison, sorry. This picture is a little deceiving because he ends up being the oldest president. He's going to be president, not this time, but we'll talk about him next time. He's going to be president. This is him from his younger years as a military man. There's an interesting book about him. I think it's called Jefferson's Hammer. I read it a while ago, and it was pretty good. It covered a lot of his early stuff, not his presidency, because his presidency only lasts about a month. He is the first president to die in office. So we're going to get to him and John Tyler pretty soon in this series.
From Ohio. It seemed to be more about Van Buren losing than the Whigs winning. This was the only time in American history this was ever tried. Stay tuned to see if it worked. The Whigs ran 2 vice president candidates.
Spoiler alert.
John Tyler, senator from Virginia.
John Tyler is going to be incredibly important going forward. To paint the picture of what John Tyler was like, if you know anything about Thomas Jefferson, I think John Tyler is the last remnant of a Jeffersonian-style Republican. I don't know what his Wikipedia page says, but he is really the last Democratic Republican president. And it's weird. He is so not of his time in that sense. However, I think he has so much that is worth getting into. And while I'm recommending books, the definitive biography of him was recommended to me a while back by one of my professors because he knew the guy who wrote the book, and it's like the only decent book on John Tyler that's at all recent. I believe it's John Tyler, The Accidental President. The guy's name is Crapol, Crapol. That's his last name. I don't remember his first name, but if you're looking for a book if you're looking for presidential biographies, that might be your only option for John Tyler.
Ran with White and Mangum, and Francis Granger, congressman from New York, ran with both Harrison and Webster. Those two-timers.
Ooh.
This election was the first the newly formed states of Arkansas and Michigan would participate in, even though Michigan wasn't officially a state until January of the next year. And here are the results. First of all, there was another dispute. A lot of people didn't like the fact that Michigan's votes were to be counted, so the total votes were counted twice. Once
But it
with
totally
Michigan
didn't matter.
and once without it. Either way, it didn't really matter because Martin Van Buren won, becoming the 8th president of the United States. He received 170 electoral votes. The Whig strategy backfired, as the all-or-nothing reality of the Electoral College made it so Van Buren won most of the states.
The Electoral College, one of the flaws in the system is that it really does play to a two-party system. Third parties just can't really thrive in an Electoral College system. That's one reason, if you are not a fan of the Democrats or the Republicans, that is definitely one reason to oppose the Electoral College. It really locks the current system in place.
In second place was William Henry Harrison with 73 electoral votes. In third, Hugh Lawson White with 26 electoral votes. In fourth, Daniel Webster with 14 electoral votes. In fifth,
He could have done better,
Person
Ben.
Mangum with 11 electoral votes. What the heck is with all these three named candidates, by the way? And all of the senator candidates? I mean,
I'm going to see if he goes into this, actually, because I had something to say about this.
come on. Anyway, Richard mentored...
Okay, he's not going to. This is becoming a little bit more common. The middle name. It wasn't always a thing. You see the founding generation, we don't have a whole lot of middle names. You'll see, like, John Quincy Adams coming in. It's like, oh, he has a middle name. It distinguishes him from his father. But yeah, you're going to see a lot more middle names during this time. It's a very little detail. Overall, it's not that important in the grand scheme of things, but it's kind of fun to point out. Like, you weren't seeing middle names before, now you are. That's another reality of this point in American history.
Johnson wasn't automatically elected vice president. You see, 23 faithless electors voted against him, instead voting for William Smith, senator from South Carolina. Another senator? Really? This left Johnson one vote short of the 148-vote majority. The 12th Amendment says if this happens, the Senate gets to pick, and they chose Johnson. So he became the 9th vice president in American history after all. This was the only election in which the Senate did this. Just looking at the popular vote.
I thought they were, because I didn't know much about Van Buren's vice president. That was something that just, I don't know, I just never bothered with. I was thinking, like, wait, did he actually end up becoming his president? I thought he did, but I thought he was like building to a twist, but then I was like, oh wait, it's real life. Sometimes life isn't that complicated. There we go.
Vote in terms of political parties, it was much closer. Van Buren got 50.8% of the popular vote compared to the nearly 50% all the Whig candidates got. The presidential election of 1836 was the last one until 1988 to result in a vice president becoming promoted, for the lack of a better word, to president through election. Some others would do so because the president died or resigned, but not through straight-up election. Pretty crazy, right?
Tis quite crazy. 57.8% of the population voted in this election. These numbers are some of my favorite stuff in this series, and I'm loving seeing it go up. Wait, did it go up? What was it last time around? I've already forgotten because I think it's been a couple weeks since the last one. I'm going to have to look into that. I'm very excited to see where it might maybe take significant dips in the future. I want to see periods where the population becomes like completely complacent, because that's often stuff in history that ends up getting overlooked a lot. Let's wrap it up.
I'll see you for the next election, buddy.
So this one was a lot of fun. I got a chance to talk about books today, which was cool. Yeah, we are overdue for a Daniel Webster biography. I think we're overdue maybe even for a John Tyler one. I think that last biography, I think we need a new one too, because and maybe even a Martin Van Buren biography, because he doesn't get explored a whole lot, and that's a huge conversation about the stock of presidential biographies, and it always changes over time. But Martin Van Buren's stock has not always been very high. He's never been somebody that everybody's just itching to get a new book on. George Washington, he's always getting updates. John Adams, in recent years, has become a lot more interesting. You'll see so many biographies on him when previously he was not considered nearly as interesting. I think the David McCullough book was huge in that. And there's the HBO series, John Adams. Jefferson, he'll have biographies done to death. I think his stock might be going down a little bit in the Hamilton age. People are always going to be interested in Jefferson, but they approach him more critically than they used to. So that's a thing. James Madison, some people like him, some people don't. There will always be a Madison biography because he's so essential. Then there's like James Monroe. I've been seeing stuff of him recently. Yeah, it's really weird when you see somebody like Van Buren, who just does not get a whole lot of attention. He's seen as kind of an extension of Jackson. If you want to learn about Van Buren, some of the best ways to do it is to read a really in-depth Andrew Jackson biography, because you'll see a whole lot of his political dealings within that, because he's so important to the Jackson administration. Righty, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I rambled a lot in this one, maybe even more than usual. I wonder how long this one ended up being. I'm gonna have to check. So I hope you guys like this. Send me them holiday themed history videos, comment section below, and any other history related videos. I don't think I'm gonna be able to do all holiday videos in December. I didn't really plan on it, but I want to do a lot. Like this video if you like this video. Subscribe for more videos every day, and I will see you guys next time. Later.